An Imperial Guard captain and a commissar discussed Imperial theology. I presume they went into some detail about the Imperial creed at the Schola, said Captain Obisakera. We delve deeper into Imperial theology in our training than in the seminaries of the ecclesiarchy, for we have to distinguish between heretical and orthodox expressions of the Imperial creed, replied Commissar Rochant. Then tell me, what do you think of the Steinian school? According to St. Steinus, the Emperor wills none of the evil in the galaxy, but permits it as a shadow that serves to highlight his glory. Our Commandant delivered 10 lectures to us on the theology of St. Steinus, and by the end I was little wiser than I was at the beginning, but when I had to pass the final examination, I studied the saint's theology and came to a similar conclusion, except I would say that according to St. Steinus, the Emperor permits evil that we be purged in the fire of war and suffering, to better become instruments of his will. That's an interesting reading of his ecclesiarchy dogmatics. Would you agree that both are permitted orthodox readings of St. Steinus? They were declared so at the 38th Ecumenical Synod. Then we might say that what we endure, while not willed by the Emperor, nevertheless serves his purpose either directly by manifesting more clearly his glory, or indirectly by honing us, his servants, into better servants of his will. That is what I concluded from my reading of St. Steinus. Then I think we can face what awaits with equanimity, whatever it entails. Although, of course, if the school of St. Calvin is true, then the Emperor has looked upon us, and, by his inscrutable will, decreed that only a vanishingly small number among us shall be justified, with the rest destined for perdition. The doctrine has the advantage of removing us from vain striving, for only the Emperor knows whom he wishes to justify. But only when our duty ends in death shall we know if he has deemed it acceptable to his glory and accepted it as the necessary sacrifice to his will. The Officio Prefectus, while maintaining official neutrality with respect to the orthodox schools of the Imperial Creed, in practice prefers the doctrine of Calvin over those of St. Steinus, or the doctrine of St. Quino or St. Gustine. Of course, Calvinism fits the Officio Prefectus like a power pack fits a lasgun. From what I have heard, the Inquisition leans towards the school of St. Quino, while the Astra Militarum naturally professes the doctrines of the school of St. Gustine. What about the Adeptus Astartes? I've never been able to establish that. I suspect that most of them regard the disputes between the schools as the pettifoggy nitpicks of ecclesiarchy scholars, disputations that would be more quickly and cleanly resolved with a bolter and chainsword. And who are we to say that that is not the case, since the disputes have endured without resolution for 10,000 years. But for myself, I think the lack of resolution reflects what I said earlier, the inherent impossibility of framing the imperial truth in language. Language, by definition, excludes as it defines, and the imperial truth is greater than the words with which we seek to describe it. Suffer not the witch, the mutant, and the alien to live. That's clear enough.